From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and Akashvani, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell in London, where I'm getting ready to switch from cricket to tennis for a short time, commentating at Wimbledon. But otherwise, I'm still getting over the coolest record run chase I think I've ever seen in a test match by England's men at Headingley. It was just remarkable.
It was to win with a leg in the air, 14 overs to spare. Hello, Jim Maxwell back home after having what England like to describe as a heat wave when it gets to 30 degrees. Bit overstating it, folks, but I was wearing shorts in London and it was a lot of fun. But it's a little bit cooler back at home, but nice to be here in the comfort of the own place. So nice to see you all.
Well, thank you, Jim. Alison, you say coolest, I say shocking from the position they were at. This is Charu Sharma for Akashvani. We're back here with a lot of rain in the Baroda Premier League, but that Indian loss in the first test match, gosh, has it created ripples or what in India?
Well, of course, we're going to get stuck right into that here on Stumped. It was a fascinating opening test. 5-match series we've got, and England now 1-0 up over India's men. I was commentating the match for the BBC and watched as Ben Duckett hit that masterful 149 to propel England towards a record target of 371 for them at Headingley. They beat India by 5 wickets on what could have been a really nerve-jangling final day. It certainly had its moments with 2 wickets in 2 balls at one point, but overall completed with calm panache. England got there in 82 overs, so yes, did it with 14 overs to spare to take a 1-0 lead in what is the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy, of course. I really thought rain was going to play a major part in the day and was forecasting a draw because of that. But it was an England win, and India are left to dwell on missed opportunities. They hit 5 centuries to England's 2, but lower order collapses in both innings proved really costly, as did 6 dropped catches. So, Charu, we saw Shubman Gill, new captain, hit 100 on his captaincy debut. What a moment that was. But he's been left with a lot of questions to answer, hasn't he?
Yes, Alison. You've mentioned some of the high points of that test match, or low points as far as India is concerned, the tail not being able to gather runs and so on and so forth. But I did mention earlier on Stump that Shubman Gill's captaincy is first and foremost all about his leading from the front and his scoring runs. Luckily, that has happened well for him. That first innings century, of course, I think he'd be a little upset with what happened in the second innings, personally speaking. But luckily, the captaincy hasn't disturbed his batting setup and played rather well. Captaincy-wise, there are, of course, lots of murmurs about how he hasn't started well, but surely he can't catch for everybody, he can't play for everybody, he can't bowl for the rest of the Indian bowlers apart from Bumrah. So we'll have to suggest that, it might have not looked extremely dynamic. But as I say always, it's a think tank. It's all the senior players, the coaches and others getting together and discussing strategy and tactics. So I really think that we need to take the blame away from one individual, and that to a captain who did rather well individually. Collectively, yes, it was a massive failure, and surely there'll be a lot of discussion along with Gambhir and the rest of the senior players about maybe team changes and, of course, the attitude. Maybe there was a dugout, well, we call it dugout now, but let's get back to test match. Maybe there was a dressing room instruction for the tail to hurry up a bit, get some runs so they could bowl or have enough time to bowl at England, which backfired a bit. And I feel particularly sorry for, I know I'm sounding biased because I like him as an individual, Karun Nair, who began with a duck and ended with a 20 the second innings, because he was looking solid enough. It's just 2 unfortunate dismissals, which might have meant a lot for India had he come good as well. So plenty of talking points, but yeah, I wouldn't judge Shubman Gill or his captaincy too harshly yet.
Yeah, I interviewed Shubman Gill immediately after the match, and he was putting a pretty brave face on things, at that point, and wanting to highlight all the good things that did happen, one of which was India, being in an incredibly strong position, 400 odd for 3. And then we had Rishabh Pant scoring not 1 but 2 centuries. I mean, Jim, what a story that was in itself. He is some talent, isn't he? And entertained us with that somersault celebration as well.
Oh, he's a huge talent. But as Charu observed, they need to get just a few more runs out of the lower order. To collapse like that in both innings was, well, maybe unfortunate, whatever. But I think, unfortunately for India, as we saw in Australia, they rely so much on Bumrah to shake up the opposition. He didn't get a wicket in the second innings, and if they're going to rest him for the next test match, they've got some problems because I don't know how they're going to get England out twice on a good pitch following that rousing run chase. It was inspiring, absolutely inspiring. As I say, to win with 14 overs to spare. Oh, so well done, England. They're making a habit of these run chases in conditions that they enjoy at home, particularly. And it's going to be a very good performance from India to come back and win the series now. So that was huge from Stokes and the England team. So well done to them. They raised the bar a bit very early in the series. They look threatening.
They certainly do. I mean, the dropped catches is one thing, the runs needed from the lower order is another. Jasprit Bumrah, Charu, is an interesting one because so much reliance is placed on him, yet he wasn't used towards the back end of the run chase. I asked Shubman Gill about this. He certainly wasn't used, with the new ball, but, even when I think Jamie Smith first came out to bat, could have been a time, and he just simply said, I wanted to give opportunities to some others, which seemed a really curious thing to say. And then Bumrah was off the field at the end, but he was at great pains to say, no, he's not injured, he's fully fit. But, they've got to work out when to play him. Surely they need to keep playing him, because if they don't, the chances of England going 2-0 up just skyrocket, don't they?
Well, yes, but they can't bowl him constantly from one end, Alison. He has to have some kind of a break. And I think, just my own analysis, who knows why Shubman really didn't bowl him. But I do think they pressed very hard with Bumrah to begin with. And when even he could make a breakthrough, there was possibly a defensive suggestion about not straining him because there were no breakthroughs really, and just hoping for the best from the others, particularly, of course, Jadeja, because the ball was hissing and spitting when he bowled it into the footmarks. And they thought, well, maybe the others can do it, because if we overstrain Bumrah at this stage, considering that he's not really getting any breakthroughs, are we going to lose him for the next test or two because of over bowling him? So I'm sure Bumrah too might have indicated, listen, I'm not being able to do very much, and you might want to just get all the others to star as well, because they did get a couple of wickets each, and maybe that was the hope, to not over bowl Bumrah like a workhorse, despite the fact that he was not making any breakthroughs. But the rest did look less than convincing, didn't they? They just didn't have that penetration, that consistency. And you'd expect now India to make wholesale changes, or I would, in the fast bowling department. You've got Arshdeep and Akashdeep there. Both are very consistent bowlers. They're not likely to give as many away as both Prasidh and Mohammad Siraj did. So, there are many changes. I don't know how much we should talk about it, but certainly Kuldeep Yadav to come in for the next test match. And maybe they can even keep Jadeja to have a 2-spin attack and have a 3-pace attack with either one of them being an all-rounder. So plenty of changes being talked about in India. But I do hope that Bumrah, with this 8-day rest in the middle, can come back for the second test match. India cannot afford to be 2 down. Also, Alison, from an English perspective, though, I was very keen to find out. I suppose the powers that be are happy because the batting unit did what it was supposed to, and the bowling unit did what it was supposed to. There was no real flaw, as it were.
I think England are very happy with the way things went. We saw in the first innings, Ollie Pope nail down that number 3 spot with everything that's been swirling around. Distractions couldn't have been easy, but he really did say, this is my place, with the 100 in the first innings. Harry Brook, that was a dramatic moment when he was, well, first of all, the catch off the no ball when he was on Norse. How big was that? Talk about the dropped catches, but that one was a well-held catch by Siraj, wasn't it? But Bumrah had overstepped, but he went on to make 99, a dramatic moment when he didn't get over the line for his 100, but runs for him. The Crawley-Duckett partnership was just the most fabulous platform. And then for Joe Root and Jamie Smith to combine to get England over the line. And even with the bowling, yes, of course, on that first day when India were piling on the runs and it felt as if, goodness, what just happened at the toss there. You saw later on, Bryden Cast and Wokes were able to make an impact. They made an impact with the bat even, didn't they? A really important 50-run partnership, which India's lower order wasn't able to do. And of course, a bright spot for them with the ball that Josh Tongue was able to mop up the tail.
Yeah, I'm tempted to change this scenario around, the narrative, to India losing the test match by half a centimetre, which is probably all that Bumrah overstepped if he did.
Well, those 99 runs would have made a big, big difference, wouldn't they, if Brook had been out at that point? That's Test cricket, isn't it? The ifs, buts and the maybes. But then when you're in the position, you've got to then ram it home. And England, faced with a 371 run chase, they'd never chased that many at Headingley before, beat their own record set remarkably in the Ashes.
Brilliant.
And yet this one didn't feel quite as remarkable in the sense that it wasn't nerve-jangling like that when it didn't go down to the wire. They just got there. It was remarkable to watch. Well, let's get a player's perspective from events at Headingley from Indian international K S Bharat. Now, KS isn't part of the current squad, but he did play for India in last year's home test series against England and was part of India's squad for the 2023 World Test Championship final. KS, welcome to Stumped. Tell us, what did you make of that test match overall?
It's a fantastic test match, and thank you for having me over. And I really enjoyed it. That's how I feel the test has to be played. I mean, getting a result on the last hour of the fifth day, I mean, that's very good cricket by both the sides.
Now, Shubman Gill's captaincy's come away on the end of a defeat, but how did you feel overall he handled things? And when you played alongside him, did you feel like he was a future Indian captain in waiting?
Yes, he had those qualities of hunger captain. Like, he's always hungry for cricket and hungry to get runs. And he always enjoyed the responsibility, is what I believe. When I was with him, played a few test games alongside, and at the GT, Gujarat Titans, I was there. And we played India A's together starting from 2018. So he always had the passion in him. And yes, winning and losing is part of the game. One team has to win, one team has to lose. But the way both the teams operated throughout the 5 days is very commanding. I really like to watch both the teams go after it.
The dropped catches would have hurt though, wouldn't they?
Yes, I mean, end of the day, if you look into it, every decision matters. But yes, at this level, no one would like to drop a catch. But sometimes it happens. But I'm sure that Indian team will definitely look into it and come back stronger.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us. And Ollie, I hope you're looking after him. Quick question about Jasprit Bumrah. Now, we know he is India's biggest star, perhaps the best in the world, but you've kept to him. And each one of us has a theory about why he is so special. What's yours?
I mean, he's highly talented, skillful. I mean, you cannot deny the fact that his basics are very strong. See, everyone looks into the way he runs into his bowling action and stuff like that. But end of the day, it's the end basics which are strong. I mean, he has a strong wrist. He positions himself well towards the target. And whatever little I've encountered keeping wickets to him is he has a beautiful seam position. And, end of the day, all it matters is the execution level, which is very, very high. He doesn't miss the target. He doesn't miss the lens most often. I mean, 95% is there. That's why he's very lethal in today's generation.
Okay, it's Jim Maxwell for the ABC back in Sydney here. Wonderful game of cricket. But Truth is, apart from the catching, India's tail fell away very quickly in both innings. What impact could your teammate for Andhra Pradesh, Nitesh Reddy, have if he gets an opportunity in England?
Yeah, that's a good question. See, he's been roped in as an all-rounder. And see, right now we have Shardul, who has played a lot of test games. And Nitesh definitely has the potential. I mean, it's a very tricky call because at the end of the day, cricket is something where you cannot guarantee any performances. So the Indian team knows it better. The management knows it better. So whoever they back will definitely be backed. And definitely at this level, everyone are equally potential to play their bit. I think they will be looking at him in coming games for sure. And he's a great talent, no doubt about it.
Now, KS, you are in fact over in the UK at the moment. You're playing club cricket for Dulwich Cricket Club. So we've also got on the line your first team captain, Ollie Steele. Ollie, welcome to you. Tell us first of all, how did this signing come about?
Morning, good to see you all. It was good timing, really, because in March we found out that our overseas player from last year had a few visa issues, so couldn't re-sign for us. And then shortly after that, we became aware that KS was keen to play in England, so we had a few conversations on the phone, and it all happened quite quickly, to be honest.
And how's he fared?
Yeah, he's done very well. 100 in his first game to get us a win, which was great, and 80 on Saturday, so it's all going well. And he's offered a lot of help with captaincy and field settings and sort of strategy, so it's been great to play with him so far.
KS, it's quite obvious that the conditions in the UK will be very different to what is normally played in India. How's the standard, do you think?
Standard is okay. I mean, I would definitely say standard is okay. I mean, there are few fast bowlers who can hold some good deliveries where you wouldn't expect out of. But more than the standard, I feel the conditions over here are pretty different because you won't get flat, hard decks. So most of the time you get wickets which are pitches which are covered in lush green, and our captain loves to give it green to the game. So what I felt was the only difference is the balls, definitely, and the wickets. Wickets are slightly slower, and it has a zip in the wicket, because when someone comes runs in and someone bowls the ball, it doesn't come at the same what do you say, same bounce or same pace all the time. So there is a vary in pace and bounce. So I felt conditions are different. But if you look at bowling side, bowling is okay, not so threatening. Like, I've not seen bowlers who will walk a opposition off.
I've just come back from England, and I was running around in shorts because they say it's a heat wave over there. How are you finding the weather and the social side of playing with Dulwich?
Yeah, Dulwich is a very nice county. I mean, the people are very nice over here. And see, I come from Andhra, so south of India. So if you ask me about the conditions, it's still cold for me. So Ollie would agree, because
Yeah.
I'm always covered in a layer of jackets all the time. But yes, I mean, it's the weather is nice. I mean, no complaints.
And Kay's final thought, from wicketkeeper to wicketkeeper, Rishabh Pant, albeit coming out on the end of a loss, but twin centuries in the Test match and his somersault celebration. I mean, is there anything you've ever tried in full pads?
I wouldn't fancy to do a somersault, but very well played. I mean, both the innings, the way he kept going about it. I mean, he was there. He has always got hundreds away from home, and yeah, so he's a great player. So I'm very happy that it came out in the first test, and rooting for him for the rest of the tests as well.
K S Bharat joined with first team captain from Dulwich Cricket Club, Ollie Steele. That's all we've got time for on Stumped here on Akashvani. Don't forget you can follow us on X. We're at BBCWS Sport, and use the hashtag BBC Stumped. And check us out on YouTube as well by going to the BBC World Service YouTube channel. My thanks to Charu Sharma, Jim Maxwell, and to all of you for listening. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.
Stumped is a BBC Sport production for the BBC World Service in association with ABC and Akashvani.